Um, okay, talking with Mike Bogart from Tower of Power. Mike, we know that you're leaving the band after about 9 years, and first I'd like to congratulate you on all the good work, all the good performances and recordings you've done with the band, and obviously at this point in your career, having spent 9 years with Tower of Power, you can pretty much go anywhere and do anything as far as being a horn player.
Well, thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
Let's talk about your beginning with Tower of Power, how you came to join the band and how that all came about.
Well, it was actually a Navy band performance that got my foot in the door. I was playing in a Navy top 40 band out of San Diego. At that time, it was called Navy Band San Diego. Now it's Navy Band Southwest. And we were doing a dance in Laughlin, Nevada. There was a small Navy command out there that had requested the band to perform for a function that they were having, and they had rented out. The Navy command had rented out the ballrooms at one of the casinos. The deal was, though, we had a very strict curfew. We had to be finished by 10 p.m. because and this was like around, let's see, it would have been around 97. And if you remember, in popular music at the time, the swing was starting to make a comeback, and there were bands like Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, and so anyhow, the casino had been hosting a swing night that had become very successful, and they were bringing in live bands from all over the place to play for the dancers, and this particular night they had a special band coming in from Los Angeles. And so we had to be done with our Navy performance right at 10 o'clock on the dot, so that we could be off the stage and the band from Los Angeles could set up and they could start their swing night. The band leader at the time of the Navy band that I was performing with was a huge Tower of Power fan, and in fact he himself had done some copying work for Greg Adams in the past, and he had a professional relationship with Greg. His name was Ron Davis. And Ron was the leader of the band, and so we had several Tower of Power tunes in the set that we were doing. Well, unbeknownst to me at the time, the trumpet player for the swing band from Los Angeles happened to be Lee Thornburg. And
really?
I didn't know ahead of time that Lee was going to be there, and it's probably a good thing because I probably would have been nervous if I'd known he was listening to me playing all these Tower of Power tunes. But Lee, the band from Los Angeles was there early, and Lee happened to catch our set. And then afterwards, he walked up, and of course, I recognized him immediately. And he introduced himself and was really complimentary to my playing. And then he invited me to hang out and watch their set. And then he told me after the set was done, he wanted to invite me out for a drink and to talk to me a little bit. So I sat and watched their set, and the band was fantastic, and they had some great swing dancers out there. And then after the set was over, Lee took me over to the bar, and we hung out for a minute. And he said, "Well, I just got a call recently that Tower of Power is going to be holding auditions, and I wanted to ask you." They called me for asking me for recommendations, and I wanted to ask you if you'd be interested in auditioning for the band. And of course, after I took my jaw up off the floor, I said immediately yes, I would be interested. And then he asked me how much time I had left in the Navy, and I was actually getting right to the point where I was kind of on the fence. I had a couple of months yet before the end of my enlistment, and I at that point I was coming up to the 10-year mark, and I wasn't really sure if I wanted to stay in and finish my naval career at that point, or if I wanted to try to see what I could see if I could make my mark in the civilian music world, and so I told him I would love to. I'd be very interested in auditioning. And so he made a call for me on my behalf, and I was one of 11 trumpet players that were invited to the auditions. And prepared well for the audition, and I actually went in and I played a really good audition. I was very happy, and Emilio and Doc were very pleased, as was David. It actually ended up coming down to my resume was literally one line. It was 10 years with the United States Navy Music Program. I didn't have any road experience other than the Navy. I hadn't had any professional experience, really, other than the Navy. I wasn't on any major recordings. I hadn't played with any major acts, any national acts, nothing like that. But I played a great audition. So it ended up going down to between me and Jesse McGuire. And at that point, they decided, Jesse, having been a more seasoned player and having spent some time on the road with other acts and everything, they decided to go ahead and give Jesse a try first. But they told me that they wanted me to keep in touch, and in fact, Doc left me a really nice. I wasn't there to receive his call, but he left a really nice voice message on my answering machine, and he told me that I reminded him of Mick, my playing, and he really liked it, and he said that they'd love to keep tabs on me, and they'd let me know if the gig opened up again. They'd like to see what I was doing first before they decided to hold auditions. And they kept their word, and everything worked out. I decided based on the strength of coming in second in a Tower of Power audition. I figured I wasn't going to probably end up working at McDonald's, so I decided not to re-enlist. I separated from the Navy, and within a few months, landed a gig with the Maynard Ferguson Big Band, which was good. I'm glad it worked out that way, because if I had gotten hired by Tower at that point, I wouldn't have had an opportunity to play with the boss as he passed away some years ago.
Right.
So I was able to go out on the road and spend a year touring with Maynard Ferguson and did a little bit of recording in the San Diego area. So I got some road experience and some professional experience, some recording experience, and then when Doc kept his word, and a little over a year later, called me and asked me what I was doing when Jesse left the band. I gave him a rundown of what I'd been doing for the last year, and they offered me the gig. And also another little side note, having gone on Maynard Ferguson's band was how I met Adolfo Acosta.
Right.
And then 6 months after I joined the band, when Bill Churchville left, Emilio approached me and asked me if I could recommend somebody, and I recommended Adolfo. And so everything works out for a reason.
Oh, absolutely. And I remember the band with Bill and with Jesse, and I was thinking about this. I couldn't remember who replaced who and when you came in. That's why I wanted to get this information from you. And I know that one of you brought the other into the band. It was either Adolfo and you, or the other way around. And so that's good to know. Now, as far as your work with Tower, you were on at least 2 recordings of Tower Power albums, the Oakland Zone and the Great American Soul Book, and probably a number of other sessions for other players. And were you involved at all in any of the creative work as far as coming up with horn lines, or were you given some creativity there, or is everything kind of written out for you? And do you get much input in coming up with the lines?
I was allowed a little more input on the last album, The Great American Soul Book. Emilio actually approached me and asked me to do a couple of the horn arrangements, specifically Mr. Pitiful, the song that Sam Moore recorded with us,
right.
And 2 of the James Brown songs from the James Brown medley. And that was really, really nice of Emilio to give me that opportunity. It was fun to be able to arrange for the band. Prior to that, anytime there's been several occasions where the band has wanted to go back